for last year. Now we are buying it for $110. So that means we need additional $10 to buy the bottle of water that the same quantity we bought last year. Do we get it or not?
Yes.
I'm going to explain again. When we are measuring consumer price index, we are measuring based on the fact that what happens in the last year, what did we spend in the last year for certain quantity of goods? And the same quantity for this year, are we spending the same amount or there's changes in the price? So to get or to determine the changes in the price, we have to use consumer price index. Bottled water, we bought 10 this year for last year for $100. 10 bottles of this water, $100 last year. So this year, are we going to be able to buy the 10 bottles for $100? No. If not, how much more do we need to be able to consume that 10 bottles of water? That is how we measure. Yes. Do we get it? Yes. So the consumer price index measures how much more money we need to buy the same quantity of what we bought the previous year at the same time this year. Do we get CPI here? Yes. So the formula for CPI is the price of basket in current year, this year, divided by the price of basket in the base year, the previous year, multiplied by 100. So the price we bought it now, the current price, divided by the price of last year, multiplied by 100. Do we get consumer price index? Yes. So this allows us to know how much money we need more to be able to consume the same quantity we consumed last year. Any question about that? So we go on to the problems of CPI. CPI is a measurement. It calculates something. So it has its own setbacks. So what are the setbacks of CPI? The first one, it only provides information about how much more money a typical household needs to have to buy the same food basket of previous year. It doesn't explain the consumer spending pattern. So what it tells us is, it explains to us how much money we need to buy the same quantity we bought last year. But it does not explain to us how much we have increased in terms of the family we have. For example, maybe I used to buy 10 bottles of this last year because it's me alone. Now I have kids. I might need more than that. Yes or no? So, or maybe I would buy less of this. So consumer price index does not say how changes have occurred to that individual in terms of his spending or her spending pattern. It only tells us how much more money we need, but it does not tell us what changes have occurred to individuals that might not even need to buy the same quantity they bought last year, or that might need to buy much more quantity than last year. It only tells us about the price, not our changing spending pattern, what we are consuming this year than last year. Do you get it? Yes. The information we get about CPI is how much more money we need. It doesn't tell us how spending pattern has changed over the time. Do we get it?
Yes, I get it.
Do we get it, please?
Yes.
The second one, the index cannot indicate the changes in the quality of good. Now, it says we need additional $10 to buy this because we bought $100 last year. Now it is $110. Yes, it's $110. We need $10 to buy more, to buy the same quantity, yes or no? Yes. But it doesn't tell us if the quality of this bottled water has changed over the period of time. It only tells us about the changes in price, but it does not tell us the changes in the quality of the bottled water. And we need to know too, if we are paying more, the quality should improve. Do we get it? Yes. So the CPI does not tell us what quality has changed over the time, but tells us about the prices that has changed. But for us to enjoy the value for our money, we need to know the quality that we are paying for, the additional money for. If quality has not improved, why are we paying extra? CPI will not tell us that. Do we get it? Yes. The third point, for new products, it can be added. For new products, it can be hard. Sorry, it can be hard. It can be hard to know how to include them since the price of such good does not exist the previous year. So we're talking about bottled water because the bottled water exists last year. So if there's a new product for this year, it becomes difficult for us to find a way of calculating the CPI. Why? Because it does not exist the last year. And we said the formula for the CPI is the price basket or the price of basket in current year, this year, divided by the price for last year. But this product does not exist last year. Can we use CPI for it?
No.
So that is a disadvantage. Do we get it? So CPI does not give, for a new product, there is no CPI calculation for it. It is difficult to calculate it. And the last problem is, It excludes items relating to housing, such as mortgage interest payment, repayment, and housing cost. For consumer price index, it does not talk about the cost of housing. They don't consider housing as a consumption, but it is part of what we spend on. Yes or no? Yes. So we spend on housing, and that might reduce our spending on other items. Yes or no? So it means that we are not going to get an accurate figure or an accurate idea about household. What we need to get is an idea about what you spend, what I spend. But because housing is not part of the items of the CPI, which I might have to spend on, then it means that you're not getting the real calculation you needed to get about my consumption. I'm a consumer, but whatever I consume, housing is part of it. But I won't be able to tell you, you won't be able to know the value of what I spend on housing, which is part of my consumption. Do we get it? Yes. So we're talking about the problems of CPI. One, CPI does not give us, it only gives us information about the prices. It does not give us information about the spending patterns of individuals. CPI does not, it explains the prices changes, but it does not explain or tells us the quality that has changed over time. The third one, CPI is when it becomes a new product, we cannot use CPI to calculate it. And the last one here, CPI does not tell us about housing, which is part of our consumer spending. Because whatever we make, our income is what we spend from. Yes or no? So our income is subjected to what our spendings will be. But if consumer index is not saying about, it's not talking about housing. So how do we explain this? Because we call it consumer price index, which means all our consumptions summed up together, excluding housing. So if housing is excluded, that means something is missing. Yes. Any question about it? Clear, right?
Yes.
Okay.